Good people, what's popping? It's your homie Greg B, the GOAT. And as you can see right up there, I have hit High Master with Aki. So my challenge is complete. I can move on to the next character. If you didn't know, I've been playing each character. I used to play for 30 days. Now, I'm just trying to get each character to High Master. I feel the length of time and effort I put into learning the character and the nuances of the character to get to High Master gives me a good understanding on what type of abilities the character has and some of their strengths and weaknesses. I know for me to get a deeper understanding, I would need to play more. But right now, I just want to get an understanding of the different archetypes, the different options that are available with the different characters before I select the main character and kind of just play them exclusively. With my overall goal being that of competing in tournaments at a high level. I know I'm behind the 8 ball when it comes to experience. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to get my 10,000 hours and learn Street Fighter and learn this game, and become a better fighting game player. And I'm doing that by just play all the different characters. And my goal isn't to like master all of the characters and learn everything they have. What my true goal and intention is I want to develop a process for developing a character, and how to train myself, how to teach myself to get better, how to research different things and improve. Because I think if you want to be good at a high level, it's a lot more than just watching people's guides on YouTube. And I think at a lower level, you can pull up some guides and pull up some combo videos, but if you're waiting for high level players to put out combo videos and guides for you to follow so you can compete at a high level, you're always going to be behind the curve. You're waiting for people to put the tech out so then you could use the tech. Doesn't make sense to me. So, I do believe there's a process that you should have, some sort of strategy, like when you selecting a character and going through that, and you trying to develop your tech and how you want to learn what the character does and the strengths and weaknesses. So just by repeating this process, picking different characters and repeating that process, I'm becoming more efficient at developing characters and developing strategy and figuring out how I can improve as a player overall with each character. So that's like my overall goal. But today I wanted to talk about how I hit High Master with Aki. First off, I've been playing Aki since the start of Phase 7. Phase 7 started with my drop, and that was like February 5th. So as of today, it's been about 67 days. I hit High Master like a day or two ago. So officially it was 66 days. It took me 66 days to hit High Master with Aki, which at this point is probably the fastest. I think. I'm not sure. I hit High Master. It wasn't High Master then, but I hit 1600 MR with Dawson as well. I've reached 1600 with a couple of characters, because that's been my goal probably for since the new year, is whatever character I play to just take them to 1600 MR, and then when they changed the titles, it became not just 1600 MR, it became High Master. But I think this is the fastest I've done it. So, I just wanted to talk about that. I thought it was cool because I'm a noob, basically. I don't really have a lot of legitimate fighting game experience other than whatever stuff I did casually when I was playing games back in the day. This is the first game I've taking it serious and said I wanted to compete and all of that, which I still haven't competed, but yeah. So long story short, I played about 3,000 matches overall. You can see that right here. I have another like stat tracker that I'm gonna pull up, but it didn't capture the entire process. I think I got about 300 matches in with Aki and ranked before I had that stat tracker running. But I'll show that after this. Let's see. Ranked matches. I did it in 2056 ranked matches. It took me to go from Diamond 1. I actually, when I started with Aki, I lost all of my placement matches. I think except maybe one. And they placed me at Diamond 1. So I literally had to grind from Diamond 1 all the way up to Master, and then from Master to High Master. What else do we have? One of the things I'll say, I think Aki was a fun character. I think she has a lot of strengths, especially when you talk about like damage output. I think her damage output is pretty underrated. She has the ability to extend her combos. So like I think the thing with her, it's important to understand how to optimize her combos. I didn't really struggle managing meter with her. That was another thing I noticed, because a lot of her combos were extended through raw drive rush, like air juggles and things like that. So you're not spending the same amount of bar as if you were doing button drive rush, where I think button drive rush is like 3 bars. A normal raw drive rush is like a bar or half a bar or something like that. So that was one of the things I noticed. It really wasn't that difficult to not say optimize, but it really wasn't that difficult to manage her meter. Let's take a look at the matchups. So overall, I was right around 50%, which I would say that's pretty good. That's been pretty standard. I really haven't had a much higher percentage with any other character. I will say my percentage increased because I lost to her quite a bit when I started, especially because everybody was playing her. That shit was ridiculous. Yeah, I do feel like Aki wins that matchup. But it did take a while for me to get used to playing against her. They kind of have similar strategies, Aki and Mai, which people don't talk about, but I think they do. So I just think that, well, one, Mai has a DP, and she has a couple additional options with her fireball, quote unquote, fan. Akuma, 53%. The Shotos, she does okay against the Shotos. I struggled against Geef a bit. Terry was a little tough. Jury, Bison, Cammy. I mean, the one thing I'll say, I think overall my win percentages for characters was decent. I lost to Luke quite a bit. That's really bad. It looks like almost only won a quarter of the matches. So of the 28, I probably won like 7 or 8 of them. I didn't play Luke a lot, but I think if I had a chance to play Luke more, I probably would have did better. But it just was so random when I did get a chance, which you would think like he's just a Shoto. So I really don't understand why I was losing to him like that. I don't. So I think if I was to continue to play Aki, that'd be something I would look at. I lost JP quite a bit. I don't understand why either. I think I just need to play more, and do more lab, and really understand. But I think those were my 2 worst winning percentages. I beat the shit out of Ed, which I thought was interesting. Maybe Aki wins that against Ed, or maybe the Eds I were playing were just really bad. I don't know. Because I didn't play any high level Eds. Like all the Eds I played were lower level, 14, 1500 MR. Eds. I didn't play any Eds. I think over 1600 am I? But yeah, so all in all, like I said, I don't know if the Luke matchup is bad for her or I just didn't do it good. I do think, and I could be wrong. I feel like the Geef matchup is not good for her. I really struggled with finding the correct space, and I started labbing some stuff and finding some different things. But like her block strings and pressure and stuff like that really weren't effective against him, and I struggled just kind of like finding solutions. And then on top of that, her anti-airs, especially in the area where Geef likes to jump with his body slam move, um, that's not her best spot for anti-airs. So I got jumped in a lot against him. Um, but yeah, so all in all, I played, like I said, 2,000 ranked matches. I did spend quite a bit of time in Battle Hub, and that was something I did this time. Um, previously, I think I spent more time in ranked and just try to learn and ranked as I go. I mean, I'm still alive and stuff, but I spent time in Battle Hub, trying to seek out particular characters and playing against them. Um, and you can see right there, I played almost 800, 764 matches in the Battle Hub, which that's probably the most I've ever played with a character in Battle Hub. I wonder if it'll allow me to see who I played. Let's see. It will. So we can see in Battle Hub, I played a lot of Ryu, Ken, Akuma. I spent some time against Geef, Mai, Chun, Cammy, Terry. So I tried to seek out the different characters and play them and learn strategy and matchup knowledge things against them. So I do think that helped, especially with, I mean, there's a feature that will let you know when somebody of similar rank is around and you can seek them out and play them. I think that made a big difference. And I did that actively. So that plus the labbing, I think, allowed me to be a bit more consistent with my approach in ranked. And like I said, I played fewer ranked matches. I didn't play as long. Like my ranked sessions weren't as long either. I kind of treated it like a tournament play where I gave myself 2 lives. So I basically, you in tournament you play, you start out in winners, and you win, you keep going. If you lose, you go to losers. But once you lose in losers, that's it. Your tournament life is done. So I had quite a few sessions where I did that, where I would just play as if I was in a tournament, where if I lost 2 sets, that's it. And I'm done. So I think it was easier to maintain focus when I didn't play as long. I had a couple of times where I really just grinded and I just stayed in rank when I was really trying to push, to see what I've learned against the various characters in rank, so I will play more than, 20 matches. I had quite a few of those sessions, obviously. I would play like some really extended rank grind sessions, 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, but nothing longer than maybe 4 hours. But yeah, I'm interested to see how this, translates in the future to additional to my next character. I think I'm gonna try Ed next. But yeah, let's take a look at these other stats real quick, and I'll let you guys get up out of here. You know what I'm saying? So you can see, like I said, I played 2,000 ranked matches, but this only has 1,700 of them. And then you can kind of see the breakdown from Diamond 1 to Diamond 5. and then master rank. So I played about 1,295 matches in master rank. If you subtract that from the 2,000, which I'm pretty sure I made master with this running, so this part is accurate. So I played almost 1,300 matches to get from starting out. I mean, and it's crazy because you start out at 1,500 MR to get to 1,600. So I took about 1,300 matches, just winning and losing, and you could see I was like right at 50%. So I was just winning and losing a lot, and I think I lost a lot more early on, obviously, because I just got to master rank. And then as I continued to play, my win percentage improved. And you could see in terms of master rank, I did really well against 1,200 MR, which, that's not too surprising because that's pretty much, if you 1,200 MR is probably like diamond. I would say it's probably like diamond 3 or diamond 4. Like people that are hard stuck diamond 3 or 4, they probably play the same as a 1,200, 1,300 MR player. You can see right at 14, that's where I started splitting. And then 15 and 16, my win percentage decreased considerably. I will say over time, my win percentage, I think, improved. So this is the entirety of phase 7. Let's look at last month. Last month, 42% against 1,500 MR people. And then let's look at this month. Look at the difference, against 1,400 and 1,500 MR. 52%, 55%. And if we look at this past week, you can see a consistent win percentage against pretty much everybody. So like overall this past week, I was almost winning almost 60% of my matches, which I don't know. I definitely laughed. I think that could I maintain it? I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I was really kind of like focused when I played. I think I'm starting to understand what it takes to climb in ranked, in terms of like how I need to approach those matches. So I could probably maintain it. Do I think I could surpass that? I don't see why not. I would just have to continue to lab, and go through that process. But I do know that consistently, when I got to like around the 14 to 1,500 range and I was playing these players, I would go on win streaks and I would get back up to, around here, like high 1,500s. And then I started seeing like these players, 16, 1,700, 1,800 players. And I think that's really what's going to dictate me moving forward, is like my ability to learn how to play against these quality of players, which I honestly, after playing them a little bit more often, the thing that really stuck out to me is it's just the optimization. Like a lot of the interactions are the same. They make a lot of bad mistakes too. They do stuff that doesn't make sense. A lot of the randomness is there. The difference is the optimization. So when they find hits, that you're consistently going to get hit with probably the most optimal combo, and they know the Oki follow-ups and things like that. So if you aren't comfortable handling Oki, handling strike throw, handling safe jumps, like your defensive options for those different things, you're gonna lose. And I lost. You know what I'm saying? I lost quite a bit, but I got a couple, like you said. You see, I was 2-2 against a 1,600 MR person, 0-4 to 17, and this random one. This was a fluke, I think. Like they didn't even play again. Whatever. I don't really care. So I'm growing though. I definitely know that. I kind of know what, and some of the things that I've learned will translate. Like again, handling defensive options, knowing what I want to look for in terms of how I'm using buttons and things like that. Uh, yeah, man, it was a good time. Aki is a fun character. Definitely could see myself playing her more. I just I have to continue my path. I don't think I'm ready to just stick with a character and go for the next level. I think I still fundamentally have a lot of stuff that I'm struggling with. And until I have a solid basis, like I feel like I should be able to pick any character, and based off of fundamentals alone, I should be able to get to like 1600 in mine. Like it shouldn't even be an issue. Um, and I'm getting closer to that process. Like I said, this is the fourth character I've gotten 1600 MR with. Um, I mean, there was a time where it was just a challenge to get a character to master. Now that part is pretty much standard. Now it's like, all right, can I take these characters and kind of get in that next echelon? Because you're not going to get to 1600 MR without any type of fundamentals. You know, I mean, there are characters that hide some fundamental weaknesses, but that shit will get sussed out pretty quick. And unless you kind of like, um, you know, being very selective with how you match up and, you know, like only playing one match if you think you might lose or rage quitting and disconnecting and stuff like that. Like, you're not gonna play you're not gonna play full sets and win solely off of character gimmicks because the players are too good. You know, they got answers for that shit. Um, even like I said, even like playing a character like mine, I think she's, you know, her gimmicks are very tough to deal with, very tough to deal with. But at a certain point, you know, we labbing that shit, and it's not gonna be free. And I think a lot of people are kind of getting to that point now, and you're seeing less my players as well for that same reason because it was easy early on. Now it's not so easy, you know, because some of them gimmicks that you were doing don't work the same. Players in general are starting just to have answers, even if they're not the most optimal answers. They have answers. They have different things they can do to kind of throw you off and make it difficult for you to kind of, if you don't if you're not getting the stuff that you want right away, you know, you could get frustrated. And I see it happen to a lot of my players. Um, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Try, you can kind of see my increase. This is for the entirety of phase 7. And then you see the steady increase right here over my past matches. And this is on a scale of every 100 matches. But you can see, so I kind of, you know, I was pretty consistent in my win percentage, and then I just started to climb uh, towards the end, and I mean that's an indicator of growth. I think I had a peak right here. I don't know what that is. Monthly basis is pretty steady across the board. You can see every 10 matches. That looks crazy. That's why I keep it like on 100 or 50. I think it gives me a better idea on like from a larger scale how my gameplay is going because it's so volatile. You know, you go on win streaks all the time and you go on losing streaks, but every 100 matches, I think it's pretty consistent in terms of showing you something regarding growth. Uh, I won significantly more on the 2-player side. I think that's interesting. Not sure why that is. Um, I always think this is interesting too. Like the scores for my wins and losses. These are almost identical. Like winning 2 or losing 2. Even the win lose win versus lose win lose. You know, and then lose, win, lose two. All of these are about the same, very even. So I don't know what to take from this, but I just think it's interesting. I guess I would like more wins or lose wins. I think if I can increase this, like even if I lose the first match, to be able to come back and win the entire thing, like that, I think that would kind of indicate maybe I'm using the first match as data to win the other two, or I'm just dominating with the two wins, or I'm getting dominated with it. I would like to see less lose, maybe a lose. You know, or lower this too. Like I'm glad that this is the lowest. Like typically, so looking at this, it appears that if I win the first match, I'm more likely to win the entire set. If I lose the first match, it's pretty likely that I'm going to lose the entire thing. So, not losing the first match, or if I do lose the first match, winning the next two after that. Is there any other stats that are worth looking at? You can see the grind right here as well. Max was a 1600. My min was, that was of April. Let's go the entire period. So the lowest I hit February 15th. So like I said, I started mine February 5th. February 15th, I hit my low point, which was 1371 MR. And I hit my high point February 12th, which was 2 days ago. It was 1600 MR. My average was about 1469, which, I think that's good because there was a time where typically I immediately fell to like 12 or 1300 with a character once I got the master and really didn't. It was a struggle just to get back to 1400. Now I'm standard, and again, the players just they're not consistent enough to really cause me. You'll get, people catch you slipping, but for the most part, they're just not consistent enough to beat me regularly, like the 13 or 1400 MR players. Like one may get me, but I really feel comfortable. Like once I'm in that range, like I can put together some winning streaks and start climbing again. I just want to be able to do the same thing against 1500 players so I can hang around 1600 consistently. Which, like I said, I think if I was to stay with a character, I could do that. So it feels good, like kind of being comfortable with a character at that level. I just want to again continue my process of taking a character, learning the character, developing the character, and utilizing the fundamentals that apply in the game itself with any character that I use. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how I got to 1600 MR. I played ranked. I did not play a lot of really long sessions in ranked. I used the battle hub to play against matchups that I thought caused me issues. I definitely labbed, like situational things. If I didn't understand them, I labbed. And that was kind of like after I used replay takeover. So I would look at my replays where I lost. I would use replay takeover to find different solutions. And then I would go to the lab to try to build off of that solution, especially like if it was something simple like a certain anti-air, or I didn't follow up with Oki correctly. I would lab to find the correct Oki situations and things like that. Or if I was using one option a lot, I would lab to find an alternative option. Like what else can I do here? And that was pretty much it. I know that's what you hear everybody say, but like I said, that's what I did, and it allowed me to get this character to 1600. And like I said, about just a little over 2 months, 66 days, and only 2000 rank matches. Which, I mean, for me, I say only, but for other people that are significantly better, that's probably not shit. Like they hit 1600 without even batting an eye. But again, this was for me. This was a brand new character I hadn't played before, and I'm not a professional. I'm a regular ass dude. So if you take anything from this, is that it is possible have a process which with learning a character, have some sort of strategy, like you know like for me, I take the character, I learn the buttons, I kind of learn some of their frame data, learn some knockdown frame data, what I can follow up on. I don't really spend a lot of time looking at, like, I don't really look at combo videos at all. I tend to use the trials as a base for combos. Um, and then I try to find one or two high level players that play the same. I just don't look at high level players. I look at other players as well, but I tend to find one or two high level players that play the character just to kind of see what they're doing for various situations. That's been my biggest thing. Like, once I got some combos and once I got some things that I'm doing, I like to see how they're optimizing situations. Again, specifically like the knockdowns, the Okies, and then like defensive options versus particular things. Like, what does this player do against Cammy when it's dive kick after they block the dive kick? Because Cammy's dive kick, depending on how it hits, you can be plus or minus. So like, how do they handle that situation? Is there something special that they do, or is it just a standard situation where they just grab or block or whatever? You know what I'm saying? How do they beat dive kick? Um, for all of the different characters. So for Aki, I think I watched Broski and I watched Carson. So those were the two Akis that I watched the most. I did Red Bull Kumite was happening, so I had a chance to watch. There was a player in Red Bull Kumite. I think her name was like Neon P or something like that. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but I watched some of her gameplay in Red Bull Kumite. She had a lot of nice like follow ups and pickups for various situations that I think I would probably want to learn more about if I was going to continue to play hockey. That's pretty much it, man. I'm not gonna hold y'all. Aki's cool. Street Fighter is fun to me, and I'm looking forward to continuing to improve. But that's how I did it. That's how I got Aki to 1600. I would recommend playing her if you haven't. Just know that you got to make sure your anti-air is on point. Take it easy. Peace.